think I'm an introvert that does a very, very, very good impression of an extrovert. I hate cars. I knew nothing about sales, but I asked the manager, "Can I have a job?" And
were you a shy kid then? Would
very,
you say?
Very, yeah. Not a hard time, but I got a little bit bullied because I was a bit overweight.
Right. Well, how did we go from Arnold Clark to a major tour operator?
If we get over 75 people, I'll do this in a bikini. Again, he'll tell you I broke down in the first couple of weeks to him, and I says I can't do this.
Can't do this.
I says I'm going to get a flight back. And from that point, it wasn't the singing that I love. It was
that's a really emotional story.
It was having an impact on someone.
Really, yeah.
And that's what I love. That's what I love doing. It's having an impact on people.
And it's another episode of the What's On Tenerife podcast. I bet you've been waiting for this. I certainly have. With me today, a gentleman, a scholar, a singer, and all sorts more. It's Frankie Mack!
Hello! How are we?
We're trying to make a few people in the office sound like loads of people in the office. I think we succeeded, thanks Lee. Morning, how are you, sir?
I'm good. Good.
Of course, a series of podcasts about the amazing people we have on Tenerife. So it's an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. As always, we're going to talk a little bit about you and what makes you tick, about how you started and things like that.
Yep.
We're going to talk about awards as well, which I think we should definitely talk about, inspirations and all sorts of other stuff, and we're going to play our game which everyone's been waiting for, another episode of 10 from Tenerife, 10 questions that you just have to answer. You don't even know the questions. I haven't told you anything, have I?
No.
This is going to be a good one. I can feel it in my bones. Okay, I kick it off then. Frankie Mack, swing and rack pack showman. Tell us about you. How did things start? Let's not go all the way back to your birth, because that's there's a lot of stuff there. I'm aware you used to be a car salesman.
That's right. I was a car salesman. So I'm obviously from Scotland, Edinburgh.
If you hadn't guessed from the accent.
And basically, it started a little bit before that. Like, long story short, I used to when I was a child, I used to play snooker a lot. So I would practice 8-9 hours a day, be by myself, and I never really had any social skills. So got a job in Tesco was my proper first ever job, and I really could not speak to anyone.
I think we've all been there. My first job was in Tesco's in fruit and veg.
Really?
Yeah. Unpacking bananas, age 15. Oh, how things
Unpacking bananas.
I tell you what, if they could see me now.
Apprenticeship, tick.
Yeah, definitely. So Tesco's was your first proper job.
Yeah, and I never really could speak to anyone, and that's genuine. So what I used to do is do you know the receipt from the tills?
Yeah.
Used to print a little bit, write numbers 1 to 5, and I used to try and gather 5 people's names. So it'd be a conversation, how are you, and then I would start to get a little following, which made me a bit more confident. So one day I went to go to a place called Arnold Clark, looking for a second car, and I was seeing all these guys walking about with suits, watches, and I thought, wow, I could do this. I hate cars. I knew nothing about sales, but I asked the manager, can I have a job? And I sort of followed him up for a couple of weeks because I personally knew him, and yeah, I ended up getting a job.
Right.
And it just started off by watching YouTube videos on how to sell. So like body language, tonality, identifying people's needs and wants, the right questions to ask, and I just started to love it.
So you taught yourself how to be a salesman by watching YouTube.
I basically taught myself how to communicate with people.
Right.
Because a lot of people think sales is a bad thing.
Well, were you a shy kid then? Would you say?
Very, yeah. So when I was at school, a lot of my followers know this as well. So when I was at school, I sort of had not a hard time, but I got a little bit bullied because I was a bit overweight.
Right.
And I've never really fitted in,
Right.
Like, so it was kind of, because I played snooker as well, everyone's playing football, rugby, or, and I'm there with my bow tie and waistcoat, chalking my cue.
I was going to say, in a smoky snooker hall in Edinburgh.
Exactly, and I always grew up with like the older generation, so it's,
Yeah, I know what you mean. I had a membership to a snooker club very similar in my hometown, and I really liked it, but I was god awful at it, like really terrible.
Right.
Like, you put a cue in my hand, I'd go to pot, pun intended. I'm just poor at it, but I really enjoy it. I think it's a great game to play. Yeah. However, it's not a team sport, so it's not like one of those,
absolutely,
where you've got teammates, you've got an opponent, and that's it, and a scoreboard.
And I think it suited me well because I know it seems a bit silly, but I'm an only child,
right?
So I'm not used to sharing. Do you know what I mean?
That's what it was. This is a game you don't have to share or pass or do anything.
He's not getting a goal.
It's all on you. It's
Exactly.
all on you. Okay. That's just, I mean, it may be a surprise to people that don't know you, being that you're obviously extremely outgoing. Your confidence as you walk into a room is, you can sense it. But so would you say you've had to teach yourself to do that?
Yeah, I think it's, well, especially when I first came over here. I'd been singing properly for about 3 months.
Yeah. Okay, let's go back to that then. So the Arnold Clark car sales was a help to you to get a little bit more.
So I was travelling in, where was it? It was either Thailand or Australia. It was Australia actually. And I was on a bus, and I used to get as a car salesman all the time, you look like Robbie Williams.
Right,
okay. I think it's the lines or the cheekiness.
I was going to say, there is a passing resemblance there, you git.
Personally, I've never seen it, but I used to get this all the time as a salesman. And I never used to like Robbie Williams because they like, rock DJ. And it was all the stereotypical
he was also a bit of a...
songs.
He was charismatic, but to a point where he was a little bit too up himself, I think.
Exactly, and I never really got on with that. And then there was a song called Mack the Knife.
That was one of my go-to karaoke songs, by the way.
Exactly, and I was learning the words, but then this Robbie Williams video popped up on YouTube, and he was singing at the Albert Hall, and I thought, what's this?
He did that, the album Swing When You're
Swing
Winning.
album.
It's actually the only Robbie Williams album I own, by the way. Sorry, Robbie. It's the only Robbie Williams album I own, but also I think it's one of his best pieces of work. It's brilliant.
It's unbelievable, and it's... I was watching actually a documentary a few nights ago, and he got asked who his favourite singer was, and he goes, "Oh, my favourite singer is Dean Martin."
Right.
And it's Dean Martin, and it was just a... I think he's obviously studied people who he loves, and he loves to make people smile. I love to make people smile, so did Dino. And I think it's that kind of entertainment, showman type thing.
100%.
Do you know what I mean?
So the Arnold Clark thing was a big help to you in terms of getting over your shyness and giving you more confidence.
Not getting over it, but being able to put a mask on. Even now, if I went out by myself, I would rather sit by myself, or I'd rather kind of be alone than be in a big crowd. I know that sounds a bit silly, but I would much rather that.
So would you say, I mean, a lot of people who do shows and the people who've been on this podcast that I've interviewed are all in a way playing a character. When you're out in front of an audience, there is a certain
I think the way to best describe it is I think I'm an introvert that does a very, very, very good impression of an extrovert.
Okay.
That's the easiest way to put it.
An impression of someone who's...
I'm doing an impression of someone, because when I've got that mic in my hand, I feel like I can get away with anything.
Right.
I'm never rude to anyone, but I like to be a bit cheeky, and I feel like, nothing can go wrong.
Yeah.
But when I've not got a mic in my hand, I'm really conscious of how I'm speaking to people, and it's so different. It's like a Batman costume, that microphone. It is. It is.
That's like your mask, isn't it?
100%.
That is when this mic gives me permission as well to do those things in the name of entertainment, and of course you upset people because they've come to see a show or they've come to be entertained, and that's your reason to do that. This microphone gives me the power to entertain.
It's like being in sales as a car salesman. If you go up to somebody in a shorts and t-shirt, you're more unlikely to sell them unless you're in a suit. That gives you a little...
It's almost like everybody's got some kind of
persona.
Uniform, or when you're dressed a certain way, you're doing a certain job and doing a certain thing. Yeah. So, talking of uniforms, tell me about the holiday. Tell me about the holiday rep uniform. How did that come about? How did we go from Arnold Clark to a major tour operator? How did that happen?
So, it was I always remember it was on a Monday afternoon. Had a weekend, and normally you do between... Depends on every salesman, but normally I would have maybe 10 appointments at the weekend, maybe get 4 or 5 deals. This weekend had no deals, nothing. It was quiet, it was raining. I thought, this is horrendous.
It does rain a lot in Scotland, mind you, so that's probably happened a lot.
So I literally went on Google, right, and I typed in holidays breakaway. I just wanted a break.
typed in, I'm not a celebrity, but get me out of here. You know what I mean?
I went on what was it, TUI. I went on TUI website and just had a look, and I thought, nah, I'll leave it just now. Half an hour later, I get an email. Would you like to be a holiday rep and it was TUI, and I thought, I'll click on it, see what happens.
That's got to be a sign, hasn't it?
Yeah, But I think I don't know what it is, because see, when I don't know if you've noticed, see when you speak about something, it pops up on your phone.
Oh, 100%.
Have you ever noticed that?
They're always listening. They are always. We're not. This is not a conspiracy theory podcast, by the way. But oh my god.
Yeah.
I've even got to the point where I go in and I stick a pint glass over Alexa because she's listening to me.
Yeah.
And I live alone, by the way, so I must be talking to myself. The things that pop up, it's scary.
It's crazy.
So two jobs popped up for you. Then.
2 jobs popped up, and then I was on this application form. I thought, I'll just start. Filled it out. A week later, I get a phone call saying, look, you've got a placement down in Luton. Is it for an interview? And I thought,
the dreaded assessment day.
Yeah. So
if anybody's ever known what one of those days is like.
So my very first one, I got a flight down, went for the interview, never got the job.
Oh my god! And you flew from Edinburgh to Luton to go for. Did not have anything local? Did it
No.
Have any?
No.
Wow.
Nothing local. And then I think it must have planted a seed, because I think a few months later I applied for it again.
Yeah. Because I think they make you wait 3 months, don't they, before you can apply again? Yeah.
Applied for it again. Again, it was in Luton.
Oh god, another flight down to Luton.
I actually went.
This is when he started becoming a jet setter, by the way.
The first interview I had was. I went with a girl back home. She got her name was Louise. You know Louise?
I do.
And she got the job, and I'm sat in the airport like this.
Oh no! Well, Louise, if you're watching, hiya.
Hi. And but second time got the job,
yeah.
And she'd always say to me, she was like, "You'd be so good at this. You'd enjoy it." And my first placement was a family resort.
Right.
So I loved it. The Bonaire in Calabona.
I know it well.
In Majorca, so it was good.
And that was just a rep's job, though.
That was a rep's job.
Anything to do with the entertainment?
Absolutely nothing.
Over the course of your season, you became a bit of a minor hotel celeb? The kids would follow you around, stuff like that.
So my nickname in the hotel was Funtime Frank. You had to come up with it. that was meant to be an innocent. That was meant to be an innocent name, right? And it stuck throughout the whole season. Funtime Frank. And anyway,
it could mean so many things, but this is a family podcast. Stop snickering over there, you.
Exactly.
So Funtime Frankie.
So
Funtime Frank.
Funtime Frank.
Okay, sorry.
And I started off, and because I was in sales, I was quite relatively confident doing the sales. So the one thing I could not do, and it took me, I think, about 4 months, was to do a welcome meeting. Right. Without the iPad. If you've
ever been on holiday, if you haven't been on holiday, you won't know what we're talking about. A welcome meeting is essentially when you go on holiday with a tour operator. The next morning, normally is the next morning, after you've arrived, you have the rep's welcome. Where the rep tells you about the hotel, the local area, all those sorts of things. Trust me, having been holiday rep, I will never forget. I still remember all of my welcome meetings from Lanzarote, from here, from Majorca. I remember every single one of them. But it's that opportunity then to advise people in a salesy kind of way that they need to book excursions.
Yeah, exactly. So
top selling excursion for you, I bet you 100 quid was Pirates.
Yes, and then I worked for them the year after.
Oh, of course. So let's keep it. We're getting ahead of ourselves. Okay. So we're holiday repping, and we're Funtime Frank.
Yep.
And we are having fun, aren't you? You're having a
loads
ball.
of fun. And do you know what the thing is? Like, there's 2 types of people that I love. I love everyone, but I love older people. Yeah. I love older people. Yeah. You know, their stories and what. But I love kids. You know, they've got so much energy, and I think I get on with kids because I'm a big kid myself. Yeah, if that makes sense. So
100%.
So there'd be times where there was another entertainer in the hotel called Dominic Dooley, and he really inspired me to be an entertainer. Right. So what I would used to do is obviously do my 9 till 5 and have a whatever siesta, finish at 5 o'clock, and then I would actually hang around and watch entertainment. Right. And I used to look at Dom, I'm thinking, how can you run a game show, or how can you speak to this many people at the same time? I really was fascinated by the way he did it. Yeah. And don't know, we would speak about it all the time, and I said to him, I said, one day I hope I can be an entertainer, like I would love to do this. But we'd just always go around the pool, there'd be like 20 kids following us each, you know, we'd have like competitions, and
who can get the most kids to follow around the pool.
So but after the welcome meeting, I would just go straight around the pool, get the sales, you know. I found that quite easy. I used to go around the pool and go, "Oh Larry," and the people that looked at me were obviously interested, so I'll go up to them first, and it was just very silly, but I had a method to the madness. Yeah. And the holiday rep thing for you was an experience and gave you loved it
a lot more confidence.
100%. Yeah.
And you went on from working in Majorca for a major tour operator to working for probably the number one experience you can have in Majorca. Yeah. the Pirates. If you've never been to the
Probably
Pirates Adventure,
Ballard Island.
yeah,
like 100%.
I think I would say that as well. The Pirates Adventure Show is one of the most incredible. While I'm talking, and if we do a video of this, I'll put a video of what you can expect at the Pirate Show. But it is amazing acrobatics and a tale of epicness of captains versus evil and all that sort of stuff. And there's dinner, and there's sangria, and there's beer, and it's just a brilliant night out. If you're going to Majorca this year, go and see it. It's epic. It's 100%. Really, really good. And what were you doing for them?
So I wasn't any of the acrobats. I wasn't doing anything. I was one of the.
I was expecting a somersaulting story. I
was one of the ugly ones that went round and done the promotion at the hotels, and I did the welcome meetings.
Right. So you would go in and
yeah.
Dressed as a pirate?
Yeah, so it was amazing. So the TUI reps or the Thomas Cook reps would be halfway through our welcome meeting, and they would always say, "You never know when a pirate's going to attack." We would come in from the back, give it a whole pirate
waving
spiel.
The swords,
we had real swords, and that was my favourite part of the job. We had real swords.
They gave Frankie a real sword. And incidentally, nobody got killed. That's really good. Well done.
There was a few. Anyway.
Yeah, not allowed to talk about that for insurance reasons. And there is a lawsuit ongoing. No, I'm joking. There isn't. So you found doing pirate attacks essentially a load of fun, and you were it's like a commercial PR job, I guess.
100%. It's a weird thing as well, because I was going to say, I don't know if you remember. Obviously, you will remember Candice. She was my team leader.
I do.
In Majorca, and I got up in front of everyone and done that. You had to do a 2-minute welcome meeting. So I got through my first 5 lines, and I kept saying I literally broke down after everyone left. I just sat in a room by myself, and Candice spoke to me. She said, "Look, you'll get into it."
Yeah.
Same thing happened.
Oh, right.
With pirates, because it was different. I wasn't standing there reading. I was actually having a sword, and I had to interact with people.
Yeah.
And there was a guy, Max Clausen, who actually gave me the job. And
we know Max.
Max is an absolutely fantastic guy, and one of the best entertainers I've ever seen, by an absolute mile.
Yeah. And he's never not smiling.
He's always smiling.
It's almost irritating.
His energy.
He's always got a smile on his face.
He's unbelievable. And the way he speaks to people and the way is fantastic. So I used to watch him. I used to actually video his pirate meetings.
Right, okay.
And I used to study him, as it were. But again, he'll tell you, I broke down in the first couple of weeks to him, and I says, "I can't do this.
Can't do this."
I says, "I'm going to get a flight back." He says, "Look, give it another couple of weeks." He says, "I'll come with you, you're welcome." And he basically saved me from, because if I never did that, I wouldn't be here. That whole experience.
Right, okay.
So
how did you move from that to then coming and doing the singing? Because I think you went from Pirates back to a TUI hotel, but as an entertainer. Did you apply for a job as an entertainer?
I applied for a company called Live Business.
Okay, yeah.
Live Business.
Who provide hotel entertainment for all sorts of hotels and companies.
Exactly, and I got a placement in Majorca, which was a gold hotel. So a gold hotel was adults only. And
young at heart. The average age there is 66 years old. Just thought I'd put that in. Yeah, carry on.
You've never been to the one in Majorca?
No, one was enough in Majorca, thanks.
But it was so different because it was adults only, and it was mostly, and I loved it. And I loved hosting the shows during the day, the aqua aerobics in the morning. What a laugh that was. Yeah. There was a time, I'm sure you've seen a picture where I basically done an announcement. I says, "Look, if we get over 75 people, I'll do this in a bikini." I did see the bikini picture. If you haven't seen the bikini picture, at the end of this podcast, Frank's going to give us his social media, so you can check it out for yourself. But yes, I do remember seeing that. But we ended up getting like 90 to 100 people in for aqua aerobics in the morning. And it was that's a dangerous amount of people in one pool, isn't it? I mean, one slip and that's hips everywhere. That's all right. Need a hip hop. But I loved it. Absolutely loved it. And then at night time, I would be the host and compere. Right. Okay. And we worked with a fantastic duo called Red, which was Danielle and John at the time. And as I got into it, I knew about 4 or 5 songs, Dean Martin songs, Elvis songs. And I asked her one night, "Look, can I do a song tonight?" The reason being, I'd met a guy at the pool one day, long story short, walking past, and he never spoke to me for like 10 days. He was had his newspaper, had his routine every single day, and it kind of bugged me that he wouldn't speak to me. Right, so he wouldn't even... He would maybe wave, but he would never have a conversation with me. Right. And I thought, what have I done to this guy? So I think it was on his last day or second last day, he'd seen me going around the pool and doing the volare, my normal stuff, doing the activities. And he had called me over and he had a little chat and he says, look, the reason why I've been a bit down, he says, I lost my wife about 3 or 4 months ago.
Right, okay.
And he says, I notice you go around the pool, he says, you speak to everyone, you remember everyone's name. He says, but what I like most about you, he says, you do Dean Martin. He says, do you know the song Little Old Wine Drinker Me? I says, yeah, kind of, yeah. He says, can you sing that tonight for me, for my wife?
Oh.
And from that point I was like, wow. I was like, right, okay. And I'd never sang on a stage before. So I went up on stage that night and I thought to myself, no matter how bad I am at this song, I know everybody, so it's fine.
And you want to do it because this
and I wanted to do it. So anyway, I did the song. Danielle and John gave me a chance to go up and sing, and I loved it because I came off stage and the guy was just standing there in tears, and he says to me, look, you've literally made my holiday, you've made the past 3-4 months, you know.
My God.
And from that point, it wasn't the singing that I love. It was
that's a really emotional story.
It was having an impact on someone.
Really, yeah.
And that's what I love. That's what I love doing. It's having an impact on people.
And that seems to, I mean, that comes across in anything that you've done, anything I've seen you do. Tell us, though, about getting over here. From that point, you were an entertainer in a hotel. How did you become the man that is Frankie Mack, Swinger Rat Pack Showman? How did that come about from there?
The truth or the family friendly?
I want to say the truth, but keep it from. Nah, tell us the truth, Frank. Tell us what you want. Tell us it however you want it to be told.
What was my reaction?
Yeah. What?
Did the show, money, and it came across as arrogant. Looking back now, say 12 of us, 11 got the job. I didn't.
Oh.
I know this, I'm going to get hate for this, but I still feel like that.
Right.
Because I think about every day. I want my own show in Vegas.
So when you got to Vegas, was it like Frankie was wide-eyed and dream come true time?
Not yet.
Right. And now 2 awards. Were you still having the imposter syndrome then? You still thought you shouldn't have been
I still do sometimes. So I ended up winning an award called Rising Star.
Fantastic. Let's talk about your other award, a very important award, the Tenerife Entertainment Awards 2019.
I didn't believe that I could sing, and I didn't believe I deserved a place on that stage.
Right.